You are in the jungle. I'm Matt Edwards. The Cincinnati Bengals are 5-2 atop the entire AFC. The entire AFC after a 41-17 demolition of the Baltimore Ravens. Today we are joined by a young man you know and you love. Perhaps you're one of his 51,000 followers on Twitter. I was fortunate enough to ride an elevator with him when the Bengals and Jaguars played on Thursday Night Football last month. He is a sports reporter and anchor, do-it-all man at WLWT, the only station I watch when visiting the 513 because they lead the way. Brandon Saho, how are you?
I'm good. I don't know if I'll ever be able to top that intro. You forgot one small thing, though. George Vogel's assistant. That's the most important thing to my job.
Oh, I thought that was implied when I said, do it all, man.
Oh, yeah, that is. That's all part of the job.
The three of us, George just went to get dinner. We just had a nice 15-minute chat.
Yeah, just going anywhere from Bengals to Skyline to old station memories. That George Vogel is just an encyclopedia of knowledge when it comes to Cincinnati sports and beyond.
Yeah, he just nails stuff. He's one of my favorite people in the world. I'm glad you get to work with them. But there's not a lot of things I miss about working in TV, but he's up there amongst the top.
Yeah, he's a class act. We have fun now. I mean, he told me today it's the football capital of the world is Cincinnati. You have the Bengals in first place, and you have UC as the number 2 team in college football. It doesn't get much better than this.
It honestly is. I didn't think about it that way. It is the football capital of America right now. I don't even know that that's debatable.
No, I mean, I don't know where you have 2 of the top 5 teams in each level of football. I'm not good at geography or math, so I'm not even going to try to do that. But I mean,
no, I think so. I think you're right. I mean, Tampa doesn't have anyone. Los Angeles, they already fired their head coach on the year. Who else are we even looking at? I mean, Buffalo and Tennessee both look good, but none of their football college programs are any good. Vanderbilt sucked for years. You're right. It's the football capital of America. Let me ask you this. You went from the Bayou to Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. Joe Burrow went from the Bayou to Cincinnati. Jamar Chase, Bayou, Cincinnati. Am I going to get a press release soon saying that Ed Orgeron is going to be on Zach Taylor's staff?
No. No, I don't think so. Coach O said he's going to take next year off. At least that's what he said last week when all that came out, that he was parting ways with LSU. But I don't think that's something he would be interested in. But I've seen crazier things happen.
Yeah, he seems like his off the field life is going just fine. He doesn't need to jump right into anything right away. Moving on from that, you were down at Paul Brown Stadium today, I believe, or at least talking to the players. What's the vibe, man? Is it as nuts as it's October. It's 7 games into the season, but for a team and a franchise and a fan base that hasn't had much to root for since 2015, it feels pretty good.
The confidence, I think, is at an all-time high, but it's not a cockiness. And I think that's an important thing that, is working in this job too. You have teams that get overconfident and maybe dress flashy and talk some crap. And that's not what this team is doing at all. And it all centers around Joe Burrow. And one of the best quotes I've heard about him happened earlier today with Tyler Boyd saying that, we have this big win and Joey B is just like, whatever, and starts game planning for next week. And that's kind of the whole team's personality. It's like, yeah, they might celebrate in the locker room for 20 minutes in Baltimore, a little bit on the plane, but it's like, all right, it's time to keep your foot on the gas. And there's just a maturity and a confidence level with this team that's different than Bengals teams we've seen in the past.
About 45 minutes ago, we found out one Joseph Arnold Flacco was traded to the Jets. Do you know, is he eligible to play this Sunday? No one on Twitter really seems to know. Because of the COVID thing, they said it needs to be a week in advance, but literally no one knows. I'll check again right now. I was hoping do it all man Brandon Saho would have the answer. I can tell by the look on your face. I'm not sure you do.
I don't, because then if he goes to a different team, doesn't he have to test negative twice still if he's traveling? I don't know what the COVID protocols have changed, the last year of doing this, but either way, I mean, that's a good move for the Jets. At least they can get an inside look at someone that's known the Bengals for a while, but the defense has changed a lot. And that's one thing. The defense has got so much better, which is a huge thing for this team. I mean, obviously everyone talks about Burrow, but that defense sacked Lamar Jackson 5 times yesterday. It was insane.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And honestly, no one thinks it matters if Joe Flacco plays if Mike White plays, if Joe Montana plays, it doesn't matter. I don't think there's any quarterback the Jets can trade for right now, maybe other than Lamar Jackson, who was all of the Ravens offense, who would, and even he at this point we saw wouldn't make a big difference. So let me say this. If I told you back on September, let's say September 7th, the NFL season started. If I said, Brandon, we're going into Halloween weekend, both teams that are the number one seed at that time in their respective conferences, those two teams at that point in the year, 7 weeks in, have to be considered Super Bowl contenders, right? Everyone would say yes to that. Now that it's the Bengals, I don't know that everyone, at least outside of Cincinnati, feels as strongly about saying that. But how are they, if you're the best in the conference at this point in the year, you're a Super Bowl contender. The Bengals are contenders, right?
I think you're right. I mean, you can't put it any other way. If they're at the top of the division, they're at the top of the AFC 7 weeks, 8 weeks into this thing. I don't know how you say they're not a playoff or Super Bowl contender, but it's like that Cincinnati effect. It's so, I hate saying it like this. And you hope
you're right, though.
You've lived it your whole life where, I'm almost 30 years old and I've never witnessed a Bengals playoff win. So it's like, you have this optimism, and you saw the team start hot in, 2015, and they had the kick to win it and go to 8-0 against the Seahawks. And it's like, all right, that was the year. And then you fast forward to the Jeremy Hill fumble against the Steelers. You don't have to go down memory lane of all the crap that's happened in Cincinnati.
Dude, that somehow gets brought up every week on this podcast. And I keep telling people, I'm like, I'm sorry, we'll stop talking about it. It still just comes back to that. We can't get away from it.
It's like, and people from Cincinnati don't understand like that history of just, you've always been let down. There's a whole generation that's never seen, like my parents have seen the Bengals go to 2 Super Bowls, the Reds win 3 World Series, UC go to the Final Four. It's like, there's a whole generation that's never seen any postseason success in this sports town when it comes to major college teams or major pro teams. So I think they are a real contender for the playoffs and maybe the Super Bowl down the road. But it's just getting over that, if they end up getting to 10-2, getting to, 12-4, they are legit going to be people here believing that this is a 100% Super Bowl contender. But there's going to be fans in this city that, even if they're the number one team in the AFC and get a bye, will not believe it until they at least win a playoff game for the first time since 90. Like, it's weird how football works, but they are a contender. To answer your question simply, they're 100% a contender right now.
And to me, the difference in why I think people will feel different and time will tell, but it's the guy under center.
Yeah, no question. I mean, Joe Burrow is that franchise. He's that dude. He is the franchise quarterback. You saw the leap from he was really good last year. Obviously, the knee injury cut his season short. But, I mean, you go up to Baltimore and tear up. He had the 1 interception. Besides that,
and that's just because he got greedy. He probably doesn't throw that if they're down at that point in the game.
Oh, right. Yeah, he throws it away or checks down, but he was getting greedy. But they still won 41-17. He threw for his career best 416, 3 scores. I mean, he's that dude. I mean, like, you just look at his stats, and he's had games where he's had one game where he's thrown under 100 yards and under 200 yards, and they still won that game. It was the Pittsburgh game. They won 24-10. But, I mean, him partnered with Chase. I think Chase has 6 touchdowns on the year. 5 of them are all 30-plus yards. I mean, those two are just so much fun to watch. Plus, you get, Boyd, Higgins, Uzama's coming on, and then your running backs with Mixon leading the way. Then the defense, that's just a total 180 from 2 years ago.
Lights out.
It's incredible. I mean, like a guy like Logan Wilson, they went linebacker heavy 2 years ago in the draft, and he was supposed to be the leader of that defense, on the back end. And he has done that. I mean, he's sacking Lamar Jackson. He's getting interceptions. He's like, he disrupts everything. And then, they added so many pieces up front. You got Jesse Bates and Von Bell, the best safety combo in the league. They are a complete team, and it hasn't been like that for a long time.
No, and you mentioned the records there. I was thinking about this a minute ago or earlier this morning when I was going over stuff I want to talk to you about. If Joe Burrow doesn't throw those, let's say one of those 3 interceptions in Chicago, you take away that pick 6, Evan McPherson hits a 47-yarder in overtime. The Bengals are 7-0 right now. So, and look, there's a ton of teams in the NFL that can go point at a handful of plays and say, well, if not for this, this, and this, we would have 2 more wins as well. But it's not like the Bengals have, backed into these wins or really got throttled by anyone either. By the way, Vegas, I love this. Las Vegas still has the Bengals as third. They're the third favorite to win the AFC North. Baltimore is still the favorite at minus 110. And then I think Cleveland's at plus 300 and Cincinnati right behind them at plus 350 or 325. Either way, I love that. You're shaking your head right now. And I know people in Cincinnati, myself included, are like, okay, yeah, fine. I love that. I want the Bengals to say that. I want them to see that, to keep that chip on their shoulder. I think guys like Joe Burrow, they feed off of that.
Oh, no question. And it is wild that, Vegas is usually pretty smart. But it is wild to see that they still have the third best odds to win the division after this start and after what we've seen from Cleveland and what they just did to the Ravens. I mean, the Ravens have never – the Bengals have never beat the Ravens like they just did, like ever, which is crazy to go to Baltimore and do that. So I don't know how they couldn't be the favorite. I mean, I try to get a grasp for like doing this job because I'm obviously from Cincinnati and – I won't say I'm a homer, but I am. So like, I try to get a grasp watching, Get Up or First Take or Sports Center, NFL Network each day, especially after a game like that. And like Stephen A. Smith, the Sports Center host, the guys on Get Up are like, yeah, like this is that team. Like Rex Ryan was saying today, like this is the team to beat in the AFC North and maybe just the AFC in general. I mean, they are, like I keep saying, a complete team. They got everything from Joey B to weapons to defense. I think they're finally getting that respect. You have to earn it. The last 2 years they didn't deserve it, but they deserve it right now at 5-2 and being the leaders in the division, especially after that. That was a statement yesterday.
And I'll knock on wood when I say this, but I said before the season, I think the Bengals could win a wild card spot or take a wild card spot, but it all came down to staying healthy. God, I don't even like bringing it up, but here we are, and no real injuries. I mean, Trey Waynes, we never really saw anyways. They lost Xavier Su'a-Filo, but that was kind of the one spot on the line they could afford to lose someone.
Right.
If they stay healthy, and you're going to have an injury or two, but if they keep most of the guys intact, and no one's been hurt in the NFL more by injuries than the Bengals the last decade, if they stay healthy, if I could guarantee that right now, I'd put a lot of money on that plus 350 for the Bengals to win the AFC North.
No doubt. I mean,
you would not, because you're a respected journalist who does not gamble. Me, I'm just a lowly podcast man.
I mean, I don't gamble in general. I don't know. I've just never got into it, but you're right. As a respect to the profession, I wouldn't either. But you're right. They have been healthy. They usually get bit by the bug, but for Burrow to come back, be that healthy, for guys on the line to come back that healthy, both lines, offense and defensively. And then you look at, I'm just looking at the schedule now. It's the Jets, then Cleveland, then your bye. You go into your bye week halfway through the season at 7-2, leading the division, completely healthy. I mean, if you would have told me that, like you talked about to start the podcast, September 7th, I would not have put the Bengals there. But they look like, I said this about UC the last couple of weeks before the Navy game, which is its own thing, but they look like they're just confident and they know they're going to come out and punch you right in the mouth. And maybe that's not always the case on offense because they have these slow starts where they just have to score before halftime, take the lead, go into the locker room. But they know when they come out for that second half, like they're the better team and they're going to just shove it right in your face, which is a really, really refreshing thing to see for a Bengals team that's usually just getting beat down all day.
Right. And I said, I'm not the only person to say this, but I caught a lot of flack last week after the Lions win for saying Zach Taylor should be in the coach of the year conversation. People were still griping about his slow starts. You know who didn't have slow starts but had slow finishes was Marvin Lewis. He let off the gas. Zach Taylor does not do that. The Bengals, are they starting slow? Sure. Finish fast. That's all that matters. I don't care what the score is. You don't get wins or losses at halftime or after the first quarter. Of course, everyone wants them to do more in the first half, but I'm not going to sit around and gripe about a coach who seems to figure it out at halftime. That's a hell of a lot more difficult than doing it in the 6 days leading up to the game.
Yeah, and you have to give Zach Taylor a lot of credit, and he should be, if they continue doing what they're doing right now and winning, he should be in that Coach of the Year conversation. I mean, this is a guy that came into a tough spot, a team that was losing. Those first 2 years were brutal, absolutely brutal. That first year was terrible, but like he got his quarterback. He got guys healthy. The front office finally signed free agents and brought in, players to help, veterans. And I think it's cool for me and, working in this business, you have personal relationships with coaches and a lot of the times you want them to do well because you see these guys each week at practice. They have to answer the same question about losing each week. And so George and I were talking about it earlier today. Like, we're genuinely happy for a guy like Zach. No different than us being happy for David Bell over at the Reds when the Reds are doing well. It's they work hard. They say all the right stuff. They say they're moving in the right direction. And to finally, 2 years into it, see that moving in the right direction turn into wins and leading the division, granted it's only week 7, is a cool thing. And he deserves a lot of the credit for that. Obviously, the players are playing on the field, but you got to keep a locker room together. You've seen a locker room fall apart before. And, early in the season, people questioned, him being aggressive on certain things when it came to play calling or going for it on 4th down. I remember an early game, Jesse Bates admitted he was mad that Taylor went for it, but Coach Taylor said that he's going to be aggressive and they're going to play to win. And so far it's paying off, and it's cool to see that winning culture that it's all coach speak. You hear it everywhere you go. We're going to build a winning culture. We're going to do it the right way. It's coming to fruition in Cincinnati, and it is a cool thing to see, and he deserves a lot of credit for it.
Yeah, and you say that it's similar to how you would feel, I think all of Cincinnati would feel with Andy Dalton at times. It's like you're driving us crazy on the field, but off the field, you're like the best person in the world. So we're rooting for you so hard, and I think Zach Taylor maybe got a little bit of that treatment as well. You like to see good people do well in life if you're a good person yourself. So that's how that works. Trade deadline, I think 8 days away now. Bengals aren't going to make any moves, right? Are we going to see anything?
I don't know what you need. They're 5-2 and they have
depth, baby. There's still one injury on that from either of those tackles from putting Fred Johnson in there.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they're good. Maybe add a lineman, but I just think they're good where they're at. It's just
and O-linemen are so, I don't think there's anyone out there. I mean, I don't know that, there's anyone available for trade no one, like offensive linemen are suddenly not good across the league. Like, as bad as the Bengals have had it, like it's not just them. Offensive linemen, for whatever reason, I don't know the science behind it. There's just not as many good ones as there used to be, it seems like.
Right. And how about this offensive line? They've obviously blown people away with what they've done this year, but you look at a team like Baltimore, who Joe Burrow says is like they put the most pressure than he's ever seen in the league. They sacked him once, and I think it was in the 4th quarter or late 3rd quarter. So like these dudes are doing it against the top defenses in the league now, which I mean, that says something too. You can do it against the Steelers. You can do it against the Ravens. They're proving it on the field too, especially up front.
And I think that's something people lost sight of the first 2 weeks. I don't think, as maybe people who follow the Bengals don't follow the NFC North as much. The Bears and Vikings really good for as not great as the rest of the team is, really good defensive fronts. And the Bengals obviously didn't win in Chicago, but kind of weathered the storm there with the Vikings. Look, this Sunday, the Jets, they're awful. It's either going to be Mike White or Joe Flacco at quarterback. By the way, Mike White, interesting nugget on him. 181st overall in the 2018 draft. Just one selection after number 180, Bengals cornerback and punt returner, Darius Phillips.
Oh, good.
I know that's a trivia you were hoping to hear today.
You're smarter than me at this.
Well, why'd the light just go out on you?
It's motion detected.
Okay, get up and do the gritty.
I can't do that. I spent time in Louisiana, never got lessons on that. I'll have to ask Jamar.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be willing to take time out of his day to do that. To me, though, this game's similar to the Lions game, right? Like, you should win by double digits. I've got no concerns Joe Burrow is going to have this team ready to play. That said, upsets happen in the league every week. Where do you sit on this? Am I kind of Should I? You know what I'm saying. I don't know what I'm saying, but you should know because you're a professional.
Well, professional is a term that we use sometimes, but yeah, I think it should be just like the Lions game. I mean, that was the game where I said, all right, obviously Baltimore, if they want to prove they're for real, and the Packers, they can prove they're for real. But if you want to be an elite team, you have to just go win the games that you're supposed to win, in addition to playing your best against the best talent in the NFL, like the Packers and Ravens. And so they did it against the Lions. I expect the same thing. I don't know, unless there is an injury or something funky happens or weather, I can't see this being a trip up game, because that's what I thought the Lions game could be. And I was thankfully not even close to that, or they weren't even close to that. So I don't think there's anything to worry about with the Jets.
Okay. Famous last words right there. All right. So here's what we've covered so far. The Bengals are Super Bowl contenders, correct?
Yes.
But at this point, it's a disappointment if they don't make the playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt they have to. Okay.
We're good there. Health has been big. We covered that. Nothing's going to happen at the trade deadline. I mean, really, the only time that happens is a situation like we saw with Carlos Dunlap last year. And the Jets
put his house for sale on Twitter.
Yeah, I heard you bought that.
No, George actually bought it for me.
Oh, that was very nice of George.
He's got the money.
He's a very giving individual.
Yes.
Okay, you ready for a little bit of rapid fire segment? Then I'll let you get out of here.
Let's do it.
So as you know, you're a huge fan of this podcast. It's called Rapid Fire, but you can kind of do as much or as little time on each of these as you want.
All right.
We're ready to rock. All right, Brandon Saho, what's your favorite Halloween candy?
I think Kit Kat. I'll give you my least favorite is the candy corn. Those things are gross.
Oh man, I like candy corn. I like Kit Kats too.
Yeah. Kit Kat's number one.
You know what sucks? Are Whoppers.
Yeah.
It's just like a hard cardboard with chocolate on it.
Yeah, no thanks. I'm good on that.
Are you being anything for Halloween?
I'll be working.
Okay. So, well, yeah, that's true. Are you going to New York, or is that just Slaughter?
We don't know who's going yet.
Okay.
If we're going, no, I'll be here doing UC and Bengals. So I'll be a Cincinnati football fan for Halloween.
Okay, that's fair. What's something you can remember getting grounded for as a child?
Oh, wow. I think
the must have been squeaky clean. You didn't. This took you a while.
No, I was a perfect child. I think I was grounded and then rode my bike to a 7th grade dance and then got grounded again. So,
what were you grounded for in the first place?
I think getting C's or D's or something. I don't know.
No. Grades are overrated. Our generation got the shaft on that. Like, grades were not that important.
No, you just needed a piece of paper.
Right. Who is more, this is a whole brain buster for you. Who's more likely to win a playoff game this winter, the Bengals or the Bearcats?
Cool. I think UC has the easier road to get there, obviously, but I think the Bengals have a better chance at winning a playoff game. But I hope both happen.
I can see that pained you to have to pick one or the other.
Yeah, I wasn't really looking forward to that question, but that's my I think both can get there. I don't know if both can win.
I think both will get there. I hope both win. I mean, obviously it's a much bigger deal, I think, for the Bearcats to get there than the Bengals. Right. As much pain as we went through as Bengals fans recently, the Bearcats would, be breaking a barrier should they get in. And
if you get 2 versus 3, somehow UC they would need some stuff to happen to be the 2 seed or 3 seed. But if they would be the 2 or 3 playing Oklahoma in the first round, say there's only one SEC team and then Ohio State as the Big Ten champion, that would be my scenario for Cincinnati getting to win, because I think they are a better team, better quarterback and better defense, better overall team than Oklahoma.
Are you one of those UC guys? You're a UC alum. Are you one of those UC guys who hates Ohio State?
No.
Okay.
My dad went to Ohio State, swam at Ohio State, so I have to. He had the Jim Tressel sweater vest. He probably still has it that he wears on Saturdays.
Oh, well, that's very nice. What are your thoughts on the Netflix phenom Squid Game?
Don't know what that is.
You don't know what it is? You've not even heard of it?
Nope, no idea. I know, I hear squid. I think about that. Isn't that a SpongeBob character?
Squidward, yeah.
Good word. Yeah, that's what I think of. I don't I watch Shark Tank and Shameless and The Office, and that's pretty much it.
Oh yeah, you're also a huge Office fan. I
Yeah,
forgot.
and WLWT, I watch that too.
Of course, leading the way. What was it? Oh, Shameless. Shameless, like seasons 1 through 6, maybe 5, as good as any show ever. But then for me, steep drop off.
Yep.
Who is your favorite Bengal of all time?
Man, I don't know.
You know what? I ask this question every week, and I don't think I have an answer either.
Yeah,
Who's the first person that came to mind?
well, the first person that came to mind would be my favorite Red of all time, which is Eric the Red. So that's such a, I don't know. I guess like I'm trying to be original, but like Chad was just fun to watch just because of his play and like the antics. You just didn't know what he was going to get fined for that week. So I think,
especially when we were teenage boys, it was like,
it was the Hall of Fame coat sign, proposing to the cheerleader. Like, I think that was taking over the camera. I think I'll go with Chad, but I'm going to put an asterisk next to that because I don't know. I don't know. I'll go with Chad. That's
okay. You can always change your answer next time you come on, which I'm going to make you do one day.
all
right. We got favorite Bengal of all time. This one might be tougher. Favorite Cincinnati broadcaster of all time.
Well, obviously George Vogel is number one.
Same.
Yeah, I think besides George, I think I have to go with Marty, which is like the easy answer for a lot of people. But growing up wanting to do this and being like a really, really big Reds fan, and like my Reds fandom went to we had a VHS of the Wire to Wire 90 World Series, and I watched that like religiously as a kid. That's why Eric Davis is my favorite Red. So just growing up on Marty's calls, and I remember tossing baseball with my dad, listening to the game, or shooting basketball, listening to the game. I think Marty is, and lucky enough to work in this business for a couple of years in town while he was still doing it for the Reds, and getting to interview him and see him go to the Hall of Fame this year. Easily, he's number 2 behind George Vogel.
Okay. McDonald's does those celebrity meals. You know what I mean? Travis Scott, etc.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
If Skyline Chili did a Brandon Saho meal, what would it be?
This is easy. 3 cheese conies, no mustard, with onion. And this is the one that throws people off since I don't like mustard. A side of sour cream. And I put sour cream on the cheese conies.
That's honestly one of the most genius things I've ever heard. Listen, I can't believe I've never done that.
And then you obviously little squirts of hot sauce on there, and then the cracker bombs too.
I like in actual bowls of chili. I love sour cream in there. So it's never even, I mean, you're just on a different level, man.
It's, Skyline is one of those things that I'm a pro at. I don't know what else I would be a pro at, but that's that, and drinking Coors Light, I'm really good at.
I'm good at those things too. I'll tell you something else. I'm not on your Skyline level. Coors Light I'll take you up on. I'll tell you something else you're good at. Twitter. What is the secret to getting 51,000 Twitter followers?
Tweeting really dumb stuff. No, I think it was just kind of happened organically, like going to UC and getting into doing this stuff super early. I was calling games on the radio in high school, which I was super lucky to do with the guys over at Tri-State Football. And they're the ones that it's funny as the world comes full circle. They're they partner with us now for Blitz 5 on WLWT. And it's when I was 13, they put me on the radio. And so I think just kind of growing up in the social media era and seeing how it works. And I think that helped me a lot. And then just, covering stuff in my hometown, because it's people know you from high school, people know you from college. And then just, that's one of the coolest parts about this job is being at home, covering teams that I like and cheer for growing up. And then also going to a game, going to the Bengals game, and I'll see friends from high school, at the game, or I'll go to UC and my cousin's got season tickets, in the end zone. I get a wave to that. It's just that stuff's, I know this isn't the question, but that's the coolest part about the job is getting to work at home. And so I think that probably helps, because I think a lot of people can, I don't know, maybe relate to me. So maybe that's why. I don't really know though. That's tweet dumb stuff, I guess.
Okay, noted. I will get on that. I think I already do that, and I don't
Yeah,
have
you had the good tweet about Jackson Carman. And
Yeah, that's my biggest tweet of all time.
yeah, that was pretty good.
Oh, thank you. Over 20,000 likes. I'm pretty proud of it.
It's brushing your shoulder off here for you.
Yeah, I talked about it last week, so people were probably like, shut up. All right, back to the Bengals. On the Bengals defensive side of the ball, you can lock in one player for the next 6 years. And for hypothetical purposes, salary does not matter. Who are you locking in?
Jesse Bates. Easy.
Really?
He's just a man. Like he's that guy. He's like the Joe Burrow of the defense, I think. I mean, they have the defensive line is really good, like really, really good. I just think he's the DNA of that team. Maybe he's not as animated as Von Bell, but he is just that dude. He's one of the best safeties and best defensive players in the league. So I mean that contract extension has to happen soon.
See, I'm a big fan of Jesse Bates, obviously, but the safety position to me is kind of like running back on the offensive side of the ball. If you've got a great one and the Bengals do at both positions, that's great, but you can win without giving up big money there. I put Logan Wilson here with DJ Reader and Trey Hendrickson getting honorable mention.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting. You go Jesse Bates there. And look, I hope they sign him. I think people flip out a little bit too much about that. If he doesn't end up in Cincinnati next year or the year after or whatever, I don't know that it's going to impact their win-loss total. But interesting. I think that'll happen eventually.
He's going to get paid no matter what. I just don't know if it'll be here.
Yes, and deservedly so. All right, only 3 more for you. Next one. What is your current pet peeve?
Current pet peeve. Shoot, I don't know. Is it daylight savings time? Is that when it gets darker earlier? Is that now or
yes, it will get so
like
we're into the fall.
Like 7 now.
So it's going to fall back. So yeah, here soon, I think next month sometime we'll put it backward.
Whatever is happening, I don't know. I suck at this. Whatever's happening right now where it's already getting dark early at like 7, I don't like. So that's my biggest pet peeve currently, I think.
So all right. I don't know if that counts. I thought a pet peeve had to be something that other people do.
Well, that's the world doing that, I guess. So
that's true, man. Like I said, you're on a different level. Most of us thinking about individuals, you're thinking collectively.
I mean, it's just I'm here at work from 2:30 to 11:30 or midnight most nights. So on my dinner break, I like to be able to grab some food and it be light out, or I don't know, go out and have a beer on my off night and not get dark at 7.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I as you know, and most people who listen to this know, I worked that shift for a lot of years. So back when I was a young whippersnapper. So yeah, I'm with you. Daylight is better than not daylight.
Correct. You can always sleep till noon.
Yes, you can. All right, and then 2 more. Bengals, Jets, Sunday. I'll give you a second to think about it. I have not come up with one yet. What is your score prediction?
Definitely not going to be a letdown. I think maybe we'll see them come out hot. So let's go. I'm going to go 38-10.
38-10?
Yeah, I think that's a football score.
Yeah, I was going to say 28-10. So we're in agreement on the 10.
Right.
I see them. I'm hoping this is a game where they just try to eat up clock and maybe Joe Burrow doesn't even throw the ball 20 times.
Yeah.
So yeah, all right. Well, that's crazy. We were on the same wavelength. Then again, you got to think this defense has got to be champing at the bit to try to shut out a guy, whether it's Joe Flacco or Mike White. Yeah, Western Kentucky Hilltopper Mike White, by the way. I don't know if you reached the Western Kentucky market or not.
Well, I got my Kentucky schools wrong. I was going to say if it wasn't for Desmond Ridder going to UC, he might not be there, but he was going to Eastern Kentucky before Zach Taylor called him and offered him a scholarship.
Oh, okay. A little nugget there for you.
Yeah, I'm wrong. But yeah, he got that's what's crazy. Not to get off topic with UC, that's what's crazy is if Zach Taylor doesn't offer him and Luke Fickell doesn't honor that commitment in 2017, then Desmond Ridder's playing football at Eastern Kentucky.
That is wild. I had no idea about that.
Yeah, crazy. But hey, he's here and he's in the Heisman race, so much better.
Yes, absolutely. All right, and then finally, last thing, you have to ask me a question. Anything you want.
All right. What's your least favorite Cincinnati sports memory?
Without a doubt, the 2015 wildcard loss to the Steelers.
Okay.
What's that?
You remember like every detail where you were watching it and everything?
Yeah. So I was only about 2 months, not even 2 months removed from quitting my job at WLWT, and was really my favorite station, by the way. I just didn't want to work. If I wanted to work at any station, it'd be that station, for the record. But
Leading the way.
yes, leading the way. But yeah, I was less than 2 months removed from that. I was, probably struggling a little more to find a new job at that point than I had hoped. But I'm still hanging on to this Bengals team because, like you, I've never seen them win a playoff game. My dad and I are watching, and I think I'm very good and also very bad about at the end of the game, the Bengals can be down like 17 with 2:11 to go. And in my mind, I'm still thinking to myself, like, and that didn't happen this game, but in my mind, I'm always thinking of ways that they can still win. And on the opposite side of that, I'm always thinking of ways they can still lose. When AJ Green caught that touchdown, I thought, if you looked at it, if they would have played smart football, there was no way they were going to lose the game.
Yeah.
So in my mind, that was over. You did ask me worst memory, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Debbie Downer over here.
That's what we do. My mom's named Debbie. So.
Oh, okay. She was made for Cincinnati.
Yep.
So yes. So I remember AJ Green catching the touchdown and thinking, dude, that's it. It finally happened. Of course, it happens with a backup quarterback, but against the Steelers. And then, you know the rest, man. Those back-to-back 15-yard penalties that gave Chris Boswell, I think it was, a chance to knock down a field goal. I mean, I literally remember it felt like I was in a horror movie. Yes. And do you remember what else happened that night? Non-Bengals related. Was it Sean Penn, the actor, interviewed El Chapo for like Rolling Stone magazine?
No, I did not.
He was like the most wanted man in the world at the time. And that was also like breaking on Twitter. Like this A-list actor somehow just interviewed the FBI's most wanted person in the world. Yeah, I'm literally, because I can feel how I felt that night. And that I've said this 1,000 times on this podcast. That's the only night in my life. I don't know about you. I think most people, when you're in a terrible, ugly, awful mood, you get a feeling, at least I do, like rage just wants to pour out of me. That's the only time in my life I went to bed with that feeling and woke up and still it was like the anger never dissipated in my sleep.
I think for me, that moment would have been the Reds in 2012 after I skipped class at UC for 3 days in a row to see them lose
to the Giants.
And yeah, that was, I had no idea. That was like, I mean, I had why are we going down this rabbit hole? I'm going to stop after this, but like I had the Kmart injury in 2000 when I was younger. Then Griffey gets hurt, and then the Red Star stuff's happening, and then it's Bengals, all those years in 2015, and it's just they're due. That's why I think this is like Cincinnati football. We said at the beginning, as George pointed out, it's the football capital of the world right now. Well, football spelled out, FOOTBALL, but
yeah, this is America, baby.
Yeah, not football. So I think they're due, man. Get both the Bengals and Bearcats in the playoffs and see what happens.
Yes, and and I'll let you get out of here after this. You're at work right now, but the thousands of people who hear this are going to tune into WLWT tonight at 11. So very worth your time. Leading the way. That is still the slogan, right?
Yeah.
Of course, I know it is because I watch anytime I'm there. But that game, so the Reds, for those who don't remember, the Reds were playing the Giants in the NLDS. The Reds went to San Francisco to win the first two games. They had to win one of three at home against the Giants. My dad and I went to game 3.
Yep.
Because it was game 3, it doesn't get talked about. There was a Scott Rowland bobble that pretty much would have ended the game. I was talking about the other day too, how game 5 was on like a Wednesday at 2 p.m. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, man, that's another remarkable. I mean, you're up 2-0 in a divisional series. You've got to win 1 out of 3 at home. And then, of course, the Giants go on to win it, which, I mean, maybe a little bit softens the blow just because at least you did lose to the best team. But yeah, just brutal.
It's all changing this year. It's all got to change. This is it.
All right. You heard it here first. Tome, where to follow you, where to watch you, and what's coming up on WLWT? What are you guys working on?
At Brandon Saho on the old Twitter. I don't do much of the Facebook. We got
You on TikTok?
I don't have TikTok.
Oh.
I'm not a TikTok guy. I will watch the TikTok videos that get reposted to Twitter, but I just don't have TikTok. I don't know why. I'm old.
I have it and I've never been on it. My niece like had me download it, and there are people older than us that like watch it all the time though.
Yeah, my one buddy has 3 kids, and him and his wife both have TikTok and like watch stuff all day and send it to us, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. But we'll have all the UC Bengals coverage. I mean, it's crazy. College basketball is coming up too, so it's really heating up, and it's fun. I hope the positive momentum. I think there was a letdown with the way the Red season ended, and hopefully this football momentum can keep going throughout the fall and winter and leads into college basketball.
I'm pumped, man. I appreciate you coming on at Brandon Saho on Twitter. Check out his work. They do great stuff at WLWT along George Vogel and Mark Slaughter, of course. And I don't want to leave Slaughter out of the trio. It's just the 3 of you still, right? Just
us 3. It's the three amigos, the 3 musketeers, the 3 leading the way at WLWT.
I won't go with the Skyline menu item that has 3 in it. That might get weird. All right. Brandon Saho, he can't laugh at stuff like that. He's a professional journalist. I appreciate you coming and joining in. I don't know the name of the podcast. It's In the Jungle. My name's Matt Edwards. I'm at Matt Edwards on Twitter. If you want to check me out there, you can do that. If not, you can come become number 51,001 Twitter followers for Brandon. So that'll be cool. All right, man. Thanks for coming on. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks.